Super Smash Bros, a game I was introduced to ever since I could remember. When I played it for the first time on the Wii, I thought to myself, wow, a game that had so many things right. I wondered about other games in the franchise, and then I found out that there was 4 more versions of the game at the time, as the Switch hadn't came out yet. On that day, I decided that I wanted to play every single Smash Bros and own every single version. Thus, the hunt began. As of 2 days ago, I got the last game I needed to complete the collection, Super Smash Bros 64. Now, this was by far the hardest game to find with a good price point. I rang over 30 thrift stores just to find it, and finally, I got one with the price of $100 cartridge only. I did originally want to get it with the box, but I mean, that's an extra $300, that's way over my budget, and at that point I had no money left. When the game arrived, I plugged it straight into my N64 and gave it a whirl. Now, I have played this version of the game at mates' places before, but this time it was my own experience, so I was looking forward to it. The startup screen for this game was easily the best startup out of all the games for me. I know you could argue the point with the newer ones, but the whole toys coming to life thing was just spectacular. The game's character selection is pretty decent, having a roster of 12. This game featured a nice story mode, and I love the lead up to fighting the Big Hand, my favourite character in Super Smash Bros by far in that game. Some notable sections pre-fight would have to be the Yoshi fight, some of my favourites. Super Smash Bros 64 is quite the nostalgic game for many fans, and I rate the game very high, as it was 1, the first game in the franchise that started it all, 2, it still holds a very reasonable price point today, and 3, all round it's a fantastic version of the game. Now we move into Super Smash Bros Melee. This game was a great sequel to 64, as it was an all-round great upgrade in 2001. I didn't quite enjoy the opening scene of the game. I thought that the N64 one beat it by a mile, but to be honest, that's the only criticism I could give to the game. First of all, we got the GameCube controller. It was one of, if not the best Nintendo controller of all time. This for me made playing the game so much more comfortable compared to some other versions of it. This game featured a character roster of 26 playable characters, more than double the previous amount, giving players a wider range. The items and courses were amazing too, in my opinion beating 64's in the graphics and overall feel. The 64's courses are very nostalgic, and I like them for that reason. But if we are talking about the courses themselves, I prefer Melee's. Melee is worth about $110 these days, and this was the second hardest game to find cheap in good nick. I managed to get one in really nice condition for $70, which was an absolute bargain, so I was very happy about that purchase. They even discounted it as it was $80 at first, so I got very lucky. Talking about the cover too of Melee, I really like the artwork, and I prefer the way the characters looked back then compared to what they look like now in the newer artworks. After Melee came the release of Super Smash Bros. Brawl for the Wii, one of if not the best additions to the franchise at the time. Nintendo just kept leveling it up, which is fantastic, as franchises normally die after the 3rd or 4th game, but this was not a problem for Nintendo. I have owned this game for a very long time, and I have to tell you, the music at the beginning is bloody amazing. This music gives out such a nostalgic feel, as well as the opening cutscene. They all just combine to create something so special. The roster this time includes 39 characters, 14 of which need to be unlocked, creating a small challenge, which is always nice in a game. Because the Wii included GameCube ports, it brought back the iconic Nintendo GameCube controller, which was great, as it gave fans an option to use it in Super Smash Bros. Brawl, which was just phenomenal, as it was like Super Smash Bros. Melee and Brawl was packed into one epic game. Unfortunately, for some users who had the Wii Mini and other versions of the Wii without GameCube ports, weren't able to use the controller, but still had an amazing game, which was Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Yeah, that was just unfortunate for those people. The story mode was not too bad. It wasn't my favourite overall, but it still was good and added more features. Stages began to include content from third-party games, which is great, as it created new possibilities and new stages to explore. I didn't have to go get this game, as it was a Christmas gift, and my brother who got it for me couldn't have chosen a better gift at the time. The Wii U was unfortunately a very big missed opportunity for Nintendo, as it undersold big time and lost a lot of money for the company. This however didn't stop Super Smash Bros. For the Wii U to be such a flawless game. From a new roster with 58 characters to tons of epic stages, this game was the game to play back then with friends on the Wii U. In this time period, Nintendo introduced Amiibos, which are quite new and brought toys to life. Back then, this was making Nintendo heaps of money, but these days Amiibos only release maybe once a month at least, or maybe two. I spent a lot of money on Amiibos, and sometimes I wonder if I should have bought them, but in the end I believe it was worth it, as they do look pretty cool. Super Smash Bros. On the Wii U also brought 7 new characters available from DLC purchase, and they also brought back the Miis, but this time as a playable character. Although Smash Bros. Brawl was my favourite Smash Bros. Game, Smash Bros. On the Wii U was the game I put the most time in, and I enjoyed it a lot, and back then I played a lot of the console. Although Super Smash Bros. Brawl was still my favourite Smash Bros. Game at the time, Super Smash Bros. On the Wii U was the game I put most of my time in, as back then was the peak of my enjoyment with console gaming, and that was the time when I was on the Wii U. Super Smash Bros. Also came out onto the 3DS, which is basically exactly the same, but I wanted to buy a copy of it as it's still an extra game in the series. The only thing different here is that you can't pair controllers like you can on the Wii U and get everyone on the couch playing. It was more of an online version or single player version where you can't really play with friends and family at your house, but instead online if you want to. Spirit mode in these two games added something different, although I do wish Waluigi was a playable character. I reckon Sakurai just doesn't like him for some reason. I don't even know why. The trading games were fun, and I love coming to the baseball mini games, trying to hit the white boxing bag as far as I could. The bat was my favourite item to use, and I remember making custom game modes where the game would only spawn that item in. They were so fun. All in all, the game was a top tier version of Super Smash Bros, and it really just showed that Nintendo could just keep improving the game over and over and over. At this stage, I didn't know what they could possibly do to top such a masterpiece. March 3rd, 2017, the Nintendo Switch had launched for the very first time, and I just knew that there would be another Super Smash Bros. Game, but I didn't know how they would top the last game. 7th of December 2018 came around and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate hit the shelves. This game is described in one word: perfect. From 89 characters to choose from, 13 of which being DLC characters, a staggering 103 stages, a fantastic story mode which I beat, the one story mode I beat since the 64. This game just had it from everything, except for Waluigi. I do not have one thing bad to say about this game, and if I were to do a tier list, this would be smack bang in the S tier for sure. Super Smash Bros. Brawl was my favourite game, but I mean, come on, this beats it by far. I said when the Wii U Smash Bros. Game came out, and I will say it again, because this time it's slightly different. How will they top it for the next game? I'll let you guys think about it in the comments. Have a fantastic day. Be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time. MonkeyBargaming out.